and welcome to another FAQ Monday. I'm your host, Fluff, and I'm probably going to be a little burpy today. I've been drinking a lot of Topo Chico because I got a fridge in the studio now. So like whenever I'm sitting there like editing or surfing the web, I can just like, I'm thirsty. I just kind of like, I do one of these and I reach over and I grab a Topo Chico. Shout out to Topo Chico also for the fresh beverages to keep me. This is not a sponsored video. I just, I'm thirsty. I'm a thirsty guy. Anyways, we're not talking about that. Let's get to some questions, shall we? Let's go. Will you go back to doing tutorial stuff on your channels or just sticking with the gear demos? That is a great question, Mr. Luke Parker. Thank you very much. To answer your questions, I would love to do more tutorial stuff. It's been an interesting shift because in the old days of this channel, there used to be, I don't know, there was a good percentage of tutorial stuff, mixed stuff, and gear demo stuff. And what's been really interesting is ever since getting back from tour in March, the world shut down. And now what I do in the guitar world or the gear music industry world has become the top thing. Content is everything because now that's all companies have is videos, video content stuff for their products. So like I am busier than I have ever been with this YouTube stuff ever. And I'm sure you guys have noticed like the sheer amount of sponsored videos I'm doing now are crazy. And so for me, it's a matter of just finding the time to do the tutorial stuff because I am conscious of, I don't want all of my stuff to be just all sponsored stuff because that's not fun. Some of it's fun, but the other stuff, the other purpose of the channel was to, educate and we could all learn stuff and, things that I learned I could share with you guys. And that has kind of taken a back seat, I don't know, I'd say this year because of COVID and the amount of work I have coming in for sponsored stuff. However, it is a goal in the near future to do more tutorial style stuff. I have a masterclass coming out that is a huge tutorial thing on how I mix one of my YouTube demos. So there is stuff in the works, but yeah, I will try to do more supplementary tutorial stuff going forward for sure. Dennys or KFC? Well, okay, so for those of you that are not in the United States, I don't know if you guys have Dennys in everywhere else in the world. I don't assume you do. Dennys is kind of a cheap diner, Americana diner where you can get, some pancakes and eggs, and they have a sandwich called Moons Over My Hammy. KFC is Kentucky Fried Chicken. I think that's pretty much everywhere in the world. If I was on tour, I definitely prefer Dennys because they have more variety. Also, they don't make flaming hot yoo-hoo shoot out of my ass. I don't get sick from Dennys. I do get sick from KFC. I haven't had KFC in probably 10 years, if not longer than that. KFC makes me violently ill. So, mod, the answer is Dennys. Hi Fluff, I noticed that you have some green tape on all your guitars as headstocks. What do you write on them? And is that special tape for guitars? Keep up the good work. Thank you very much, Nathan, for your question. To answer your question. Okay, so on all my guitars, Ernie Ball Music Man, on all guitars, I have, wait, so you can read this. I have tape that tells me the tuning the guitar's in and the string gauge, basically telling me what string set I have on the guitar for that applicable tuning. Because when you have, I don't know, 40 guitars, or I don't know, I think I maybe have more than 40 guitars now, including the ones that are in storage, you can't remember. You can figure out the tunings that it may have been in, like if it drifts, if it sits in storage and you pull it out and it's flat, you can pretty much tell what tuning it was in. However, figuring out what string gauge was on there for any given guitar is anyone's guess. So I started just a few years ago. I started writing down the tuning and the string set for the guitar because it's not all the same, even over various guitars. For example, one of my Paul Reed Smiths has a heavier gauge for the same tuning, for the same given tuning that my Satin Black Custom 22 has, for example, just because the guitar seems to like a heavier gauge string or more tension. I don't know, but yeah, that's why I do that. Also very handy on tour, because if someone else is going to change your strings, or if you are looking for a specific string set and someone has to go and run to, you send a showrunner to Guitar Center or something like that, you can just go, oh yeah, give me the 11 through 54. As opposed to writing beefy slinkies or, light top, heavy bottom. Just write the string set, you'll figure it out from there. But yeah, I don't know, it's ridiculous, but the tape is just regular 1/2-inch neon green gaffer's tape, and it doesn't hurt the guitars at all. Thoughts on the new Gibson Jimi Hendrix signature models? Yeah, so Gibson just came out with a signature SG. I think it's a triple pickup, white SG with the long maestro, wang bar, and the Flying V. Normally with Gibson, and you know what, honestly, normally with Jimi Hendrix stuff, it's all a cash grab. It's his sister and his family just, making any money they can from their brother's name, which is fine. They have every right to do that. Most of the Jimi Hendrix stuff is a cash grab, in my opinion. However, the SG would not be anything. It would not be a $10,000 SG if the Hendrix name wasn't attached to it. However, I think the Flying V is pretty sick, and he played the Flying V quite a bit, and it was well documented. It wasn't some, it wasn't the SG. He didn't play the SG that much. Yeah, he was photographed playing the SG, but like, he didn't play it that much. He did play the Flying V though, so that's pretty cool. And the way, he had it painted, I love the inlays. I'm not normally like a Flying V guy, however, that one is pretty sick. I don't know the price on that. I assume it's around 10,000 as well for the Flying V. Looks cool though. I will say I wouldn't buy one. I would never buy one. I don't think I'd ever buy any guitar for $10,000, to be honest with you. But they look pretty cool, and they are true to spec from what I understand. Like the lefty is like exactly Jimmy's V, so that's pretty cool. Like, I like that kind of stuff, and I can appreciate why they do it, but it's just not for me. Best upgrades to a cheap guitar, locking tuners, new pickups, hardware, etc. Okay, Wes, first of all, thank you for the question. If you have a cheap guitar, and whether it's new or not new, and you just kind of want to upgrade it, there are a few things you can do to upgrade that guitar to make it better. First, I would definitely say tuners. But before you do the tuners, or when you do the tuners, get a setup done by a professional. A setup is inexpensive, and it will be the most bang for your buck for your guitar's ability to stay in tune, play well, and sound good. A typical setup, if you take it to a shop, it should not be more, depending on what needs to be done and what type of guitar it is, any given setup should be less than 50 bucks. And that's including the new set of strings that they'll probably put on for you. But setup, tuners, pickups, really, and then going any further, really depends on what kind of guitar you have. So like a Les Paul, like an inexpensive Les Paul style, Tune-o-matic style, upgrading the bridge, like a Tone Pros bridge that's made out of a better material, not pop metal, will go a long way for a sustain and overall tone. With the Strat style guitar, you could change out the tone block underneath the bridge for something a little thicker, a little heavier, that'll give you a little bit more resonance and sustain. The list goes on and on. However, tuners and a full setup, including nut slotting and all that stuff, that's generally a great place to start. High gain passive pickups or less gain active pickups. Talking about progressive metal. Farhad MBR. Thank you so much for your question. Good question. I would say for progressive metal, either way would be just fine, but I would flip it, and I would go less gain passive pickup myself. Also, I don't know, these days less gain is definitely the thing to do. Like I have, grabbing this guitar again, I have a Keith Merrow Fishman in the bridge, and this is an active pickup. However, it's not crazy hot. There's a lot of dynamics to it. That's why I use it for Dragged Under, is because it sounds really good, of course. However, it's not so crazy hot that I can't get, you know, the dynamics I need if I'm switching to a cleaner tone for a bridge section, for example, which is what I use it for in like our song, The Hardest Drug. There's a clean passage there. We have a song called Feel It, which is a cleaner guitar. I need a not crazy hot pickup for that. So I would say something like the the Duncan Mark Holcomb pickups would probably be a good place to start, or the DiMarzio Fortitude bridge pickup from Joe from Gojira. That is a fantastic pickup, not hot output at all, very middle of the road medium output, very nice and thick and robust, and would be perfect for that style of music. And that does it for this episode of FAQ Mondays. If you have a question, feel free to leave them on down below in the comments. Maybe we'll get to you in a future episode of FAQ Monday. Thank you so much, everyone, for your questions. And with that, fluff out. If you enjoyed the video that you just watched, please consider subscribing. It helps me, help you, and then in turn, you get more stuff to watch. And also, I have all sorts of stuff down in the description of this video. Sweetwater giveaway stuff. There's all sorts of links to all sorts of things. So consider checking that out as well if you're gonna hang. But if you don't hang, all good. I still love you.